Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Mary at Amore Flowers and Bridal, here to show you how to make a round hand-tied cascading bouquet, okay, with some orchids. So today's palette is going to be very simple, our classic white. So I got some white hydrangeas to help us form somewhat of a grid, okay? And then I also have some white Escimo roses that are really pretty there, some white Snowflake spray roses, and just a little touch of baby's breath. Along with that, I'm going to be using at least one of these beautiful orchids that are cascading. These are white Phalaenopsis orchids. See there? Alrighty, so let's go ahead and start with the mechanics. We're gonna form a grid with the hydrangeas. So really important that we go ahead and pull off all these leaves that we don't need. And then any dead florets like this here, because that's gonna just look worse later on, okay? So I'm just gonna fluff it up a bit. These are nice white, they're almost the same size as my head. Premium white hydrangeas, okay? And these were processed and hydrated overnight. Again, they're a little tight, so since I'm using them as a grid, I want to make sure I open them up a little bit. So fluff them out a little bit. Okay, just gonna loosen up the stems, because if you look underneath, there are multiple stems there, and we want to make sure the flowers are not stuck and interlocked with each other, okay? Okay, I just went to go grab my cutter. Okay, so we're gonna, not all the hydrangeas are created equal. As you can see there, they're the little odd shape. This is a little bit more perfectly round versus this one here is a little oblong. But nevertheless, again, they're just for the base. So I'm just going to do my best to even them out. Shake them all up. And voila, so that's good enough for me there. And then what I'm going to do, and what usually helps me, is after I level them out a little bit, the stems, you see how this one is a little bit higher versus this one? No sweat. Doesn't change anything, because not all the stems are created equal. If I put them base by base like this, they're not going to be leveled. So most importantly is I want to make sure my hydrangea base is leveled, like so, okay? Even if the stems are not. So with that said, I am going to go ahead and put some bold tape right here. And I got some tape here. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull some tape. Okay, make sure I have it the same what I had earlier. Just a little bit of tape so that it'll secure it firm now, okay? And any of these bottom right here, these little stems sticking out, I'm just gonna trim it down, okay? So it's a bouquet, so I won't need it as long. I'm just going to leave it about 12 inches or so, okay? And we'll most likely going to trim it down later. So with that said, let's take a look at our roses. I'm just gonna put this back into the water real quick here in the back. As far as the roses, these are white Escimos, as I said earlier. I'm going to make sure I pull up all the leaves. Any petals that are browning, not up to par, just blow on them a little bit to open them up. You can also turn them upside down and go like this to open them up a little bit more, okay? So again, I'll show you another one. We're gonna pull off all the leaves that we don't need. Pull off any petals that are not going to be perfect for the bride. See how, like that, and then we're just going to open them up a little bit. Just a little shake. Shake, 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 shake. And blow them up. We got a little bit more bloomed. Okay, so I'm just gonna do that for the rest of them. here I go. I have about 12 nice, beautifully opened Eskimos. Next, we're going to take a look at our spray roses here. Okay. Just got to remove some of the guard petals. Just a little bit of the guard petals that are a little bit, see on the end there. Again, guard petals are to protect the roses. So once they're ready to use, we're going to remove all the outer edge ones. And sometimes you may need to blow a little bit to encourage them to open up, because when it's in a bridal bouquet, it should be at its peak. And here I have about 5 stems that I will be using. Not all sprays are created equal, so I have some here that has 4 blooms, some of them that have like this one here that have about 2 blooms that were kept on here. Just to give it a little bit of a variety in the bouquet, so not everything is uniformly the same size. So texture and variety is very important when it comes to the aesthetics of a bouquet. Although in this case, the hydrangeas will not be as visible since we're using it as a base. It's not ideal to use hydrangeas in the bouquet since it is hand tied, and they're hydrangeas for a reason because they hydrate a lot of water, and we need to make sure we keep them well hydrated. And in the hand bouquet, there's not a lot of water you're traveling with since you're holding in your hand the entire time. So okay, now so nicely prepped. And then we have our million stars, which I actually cut and pre-prepped already, okay, into much littler stems, okay? Again, these are just for accents, so I may not be using too much of them. Okay, so with that said, I am just going to place my recipe in the back there. So I got my roses, spray roses, and then my baby's breath. I'm just going to have it hang tight there. Let's grab our hydrangeas. Okay, there we go. And I'm just gonna try to loosen them out a little bit. And what we're trying to create is a round bouquet, but I'm gonna do one slight cascade of the Phalaenopsis orchids. And before I go and use the hydrangeas, I want to make sure I spray a coat of nice clear life to it so that it will help preserve and extend the life of the hydrangea. Here's what we see here is our clear life spray. You can see that. And I'm just going to slightly coat it, spray it, so that way it will help seal in the moisture. And after I'm done with my entire bouquet, I will go ahead and spray my entire bouquet. So again, it's a fresh flower sealant, okay? We get them from our local wholesalers, or I'm pretty sure you can order it online through Amazon. Okay, so I'm gonna build my bouquet. You can see that this is not round, it's not that important. Again, it's used as a grid to help me hold the flowers, and it's also a trick to not use as many stems. I'm just going to go in and out and just make sure. Sometimes I've got a couple of thorns here. Pull that out. And see, I'm circling around. There's a gap there. You can see that gap. I'm going to fill it in just like so there. Okay, so because again, I'm rounding the bouquet out. Using my bigger heads to do that around the rim. I'm gonna look on this side, and I don't know if you guys can see there, but I'll try to build it this way so you guys can see. And then I'm going to also stick some in between. So I wanna make sure I space them out. With an all white palette, it's a lot easier, I guess, than the color palette, so you don't need to worry about evening certain things out, so. And I'm going to alternate and maybe stick some of my baby's breath. bigger stem. Okay, I'm gonna tuck them in here with my hydrangeas and in between because I want it to peek through a little bit, come through down the rim of my bouquet. Okay, you can see that. See? Okay, so I'm just gonna move it slightly there. Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna continue to build it. Use my spray roses on the side. Since this baby spread is peeking out a little bit, I'm just gonna hold it back, pull it across, and get another stem of the baby spread. Put it maybe in between here. So most importantly, with texture-wise here that we're working with, we want to make sure that it is going to be evenly distributed. Okay. I'm gonna put something probably in there just to balance out the different size and textures. There you go. There you go. We have. Okay, so continuing on. You can see I'm continuing and building. It's going to even out with the baby's breath. Getting there. Okay, and sometimes what I say is, you know, when we're done, if some of the stems are not looking as nicely put together, we can always give them a bit of a haircut. So as you can see here, this is kind of a droopy hydrangeas, and we don't want to let it droop. That's the secret to making a nice bouquet that will last, and using hydrangeas as a base and a grid. If you see something droopy like this, you want to make sure you put a stronger head and to hold it up. Okay, you see how I just placed that? Okay, I'm just gonna push it up to hold it up because that will help keep the blooms intact. Okay, so I'm gonna continue to build. Okay, just like that. And I am spiraling my stems, okay? So you can see I'm not putting in my stems this way. I'm going sideways like this, okay? And I'm gonna build another one this way here, okay? So you can see that little gap there. Again, I'm putting it in sideways there. And continue to churn. Okay, this is what we have so far. I know you can see this kind of hanging, but don't worry, we can always tuck that in later. Just pull it like that, or we can always just trim it off later. Okay. And I got one more rose, and for now, I need to figure out where my front is going to be because yes, when you make a bouquet, there is a front and the back. Okay. I'm thinking, I'm liking. Let's see, let's continue to turn this to see. What do you guys think? Sometimes looking in the mirror or the camera would help. So that way you can kind of see where. So over here I feel like I'm missing something. So I'm going to put another bunch of sprays right there. So we don't want any uneven gaps there. Okay. And then I'm going to look. I think my favorite spot is probably over here right now, but we'll see. Add a little bit more baby spread in between here. And see, again, I'm tucking them inside to kind of split them up a little bit so they're not just in one area. So for bouquets, we always have our back side and our front side, okay? And backside, although it's not as important, should also be sought after, okay? So So we should always take care of all angles of our bouquet. Thinking I'm going to put my last spray here again to help hold up that hydrangea at the end. Okay, so we have so far. So that's the bride. Okay, so I need to even some things out. But I have one more stem of the baby's breath, and we'll just put that down for now. For now, let me go ahead, because it's getting to be a pretty tight handful for me. I'm gonna do some minor adjustments as far as leveling the bouquet out, okay? And then I'm going to tape it up. Okay, there's, cut this little thorn that's over here bothering me. Okay, so I'm gonna use my old tape here, okay? And I'm going to put it on my finger, the sticky part, and guide it around my stem. So yes, I am putting my tape on backwards. On backwards. Okay, I'm holding it firm, overlapping, just like that. Just about 2 inches down or so, okay? 2 inches down. And I'm going to cut that off and tape it back on itself. So it should hold, give you a firm hold. Reason why I do it backward is that will help secure my ribbon later in place. And also it will allow me to still move my stems, okay? So this is a bit long. I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter so that it's manageable. Usually the way I gauge my bouquets, okay, we don't want them too long or too short. So I usually hold it, and then from there, I'll cut about 3 inches off. So 3 inches is about the finger, okay? I have increments here of 1, 2, and 3. Not sure if you see that, okay? So I use that as a gauge for 3 inches. So I'll go like this, and then I will cut from like right here. So I'm gonna cut that. Best to cut it even. We will give it a final trim later on, but at least right now is a bit more manageable for me, and then I can manipulate it. So I'm kind of loosening it up, okay? Loosening it up. If you made it in a spiral angle, it should be very easy to adjust. That's why we hold our hand ties in a spiral, so that we can adjust. So right here, I'm just pulling gently here, opening up some of the hydrangeas so it's not that big of a clump. Sometimes I may have to lay it on the table just like this, and then open up the hydrangeas to kind of wrap around, okay? So, and right now, because the tape is not stuck onto the stems, I can very much manipulate it, pull it out if I need to, okay? Tuck it in if I need to. Gives me the ease of that. I'm just wrapping around the hydrangeas. Okay, evening it out to look from my angle. And also, it'll be very helpful if you have a mirror in front of you or a camera. So, okay. So let's see here. Which one? I think I like this one here. So this one seems to be. Take off the clips. I prefer plants over the pre-cut stems, okay? Just because I can wait for the blooms to fall fully open and they last a lot longer. And I'm going to just cut from here. Okay. Look how pretty that is. Right there, and it has that cascade already, so I don't need to manipulate it as much. And for this bouquet, thinking just a slight bend, just like that. Okay. You can see that, so that's how it would look like. And I'm just going to figure out where. So I'm going to tuck this in right here, kind of pull it back and manipulate it a bit. Again, I want to make sure the stem goes in an angle, so it'll slide back a little bit and not so much. You guys can see that? Okay. Looks like I might need to pull some of these out to even it out there. Here we go with our cascade. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and wrap our bouquet. This was the tape that we had. I have here some satin ribbon. Okay, I'm going to start on the bottom over here because that's going to be the back of the bouquet. Then I'm just going to wrap. You can see that. I'm going to wrap around and then just slowly go down. Okay, slowly go down this way. I don't know if you guys can see that I'm going right there. Okay, just slowly overlapping. Okay, down to about 3 inches again or so. Slowly overlapping. And when I get to the bottom, which is the back of the bouquet, I'm going to cut the ribbon there. Okay, I'm going to cut that. Okay, and I am just going to slightly fold in this flap right here towards the back. And then I'm going to be inserting some pins to hold it. You can see that flap right there. Okay. Pearl pins, corsage pearl pins. Preferably 2 inches. I have 2.5 inches here. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there you go. These are about 2.5 inches. Trick is to slide it in upwards. Okay, we don't want to go out because it's going to poke whoever's holding the bouquet. So we want the pin to go upwards and in. Okay, just kind of slowly wiggle it in. Sometimes it can get a bit tough because of the previous tape, but you can just take it out, and that's why the shorter 2-inch ones would work a lot better than the long ones. But for some reason I have a bunch of 2.5 inches. Okay, so it just sticks right there, so you can see that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put the rest of them in. I'd say 3 is a good hold. If you're making smaller bridesmaid bouquets, then 2 is good enough. Okay, because this is the bride's, I'm gonna make it with 3. Okay, again, it's in and up. So you can see there. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so that way the bouquet can be held just like so. Thank you so much for watching and for your support. Please subscribe if you have not subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Bye.